Hold on to your seats, folks, because the drama in the world of reality TV just exploded like a fireworks show gone wrong. Imagine this. Tamar Braxton, the queen of sass and soulful vocals, dropping a bombshell that's shaking the entire entertainment industry to its core. We're talking HIV positive, yes, you heard that right. Sources close to the Braxton family are whispering that Tamar's been hiding this secret for months, battling it in silence while the cameras rolled on. But wait, it gets juicier. Enter Yandy Smith-Harris, the fierce mogul from Love and Hip Hop, who's allegedly gone full warrior mode and attacked Tamar in a heated confrontation that left jaws on the floor. Picture the scene. Screams echoing through a lavish Atlanta mansion, fists flying, and accusations hurling like daggers. Was it jealousy over Tamar's spotlight? Or something deeper, tied to old grudges from their reality TV crossovers? Emotions ran high as Yandy reportedly lunged at Tamar, screaming about betrayals and lies that could tear families apart. And just when you think the chaos couldn't escalate, boom, Mendeecees Harris, Yandy's husband and the reformed bad boy we all root for, gets slapped with handcuffs right after the dust settles. Arrested on mysterious charges that insiders swear are linked to this explosive feud. Is it a setup? A revenge plot from Tamar's camp? Fans are absolutely shocked, flooding social media with theories and tears. How could this happen to our favorites? One devotee tweeted, while another raged, Yandy crossed the line, protect Tamar at all costs. The Braxton sisters are rallying, but whispers of family division are already spreading like wildfire. What started as a simple get-together turned into a nightmare of health revelations, physical altercations, and legal nightmares. Stick around because we're diving deep into every scandalous detail, from the tearful confessions to the courtroom drama that's about to unfold. You won't believe the twists coming your way. This is the story that's got everyone talking, and it's only getting wilder. The night started like any other high-profile gathering in Atlanta's elite circles, but by the end of it, everything had shattered into pieces that no one saw coming. It was supposed to be a low-key celebration for a mutual friend's new business venture, the kind of event where reality stars, music execs and influencers mingle under crystal chandeliers while sipping expensive champagne. Tamar Braxton arrived looking flawless as always, that signature red lip and confident strut turning heads the moment she stepped through the double doors. Insiders say she had been quieter lately, more reserved than her usual bubbly self, but no one thought much of it. Everyone just assumed it was the stress of her latest music project or the endless family drama that follows the Braxtons everywhere. Yandy Smith-Harris showed up fashionably late, arm in arm with Mendeecees, both of them radiating that power couple energy they've perfected over the years. Love and Hip Hop fans know the history. Yandy's always been the businesswoman who doesn't back down, and Mendeecees has spent years trying to leave his past mistakes behind. They greeted people warmly, laughing and posing for photos, but sources close to the scene say the tension was already simmering the second Yandy locked eyes with Tamar across the room. Whispers had been circulating for weeks about some old beef resurfacing, something tied to a business deal gone wrong years ago when their paths crossed on a crossover episode that never fully aired. No one knew the full story, but everyone could feel the air thicken. As the night wore on, the group migrated to a private lounge area upstairs, away from the main party. That's when things took a sharp turn. According to multiple eyewitnesses who spoke exclusively to us, Tamar pulled Yandy aside for what was supposed to be a quick private chat. Friends say Tamar had been debating whether to open up about her health struggle. She had confided in only a handful of people, including her sisters, and the weight of carrying it alone was crushing her. She chose that moment, maybe hoping for understanding from another strong black woman in the industry who had faced her own storms. But what happened next was anything but supportive. Voices started rising almost immediately. You think you can just drop this on me like it's nothing? Yandy allegedly snapped, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. Tamar, already emotional, fired back, I trusted you, Yandy, this isn't about you. The argument escalated fast. Words turned personal. Accusations flew about loyalty, about who was really there for who during tough times. Then came the bombshell. Tamar reportedly said something along the lines of, you don't know what it's like to fight for your life every single day, and that's when the room froze. People nearby started piecing it together. HIV positive. The rumor mill had been buzzing quietly, but hearing it out loud in that moment felt like a grenade going off. Yandy's reaction was explosive. Witnesses describe her face twisting in disbelief, then anger. You're lying. You're using this to get sympathy. She shouted, stepping closer. Tamar, tears streaming now, tried to back away, but Yandy wasn't having it. In a split-second decision fueled by pure rage, Yandy allegedly lunged forward, grabbing at Tamar's arm and shoving her against the wall. Screams erupted. "Get off me," Tamar yelled, pushing back hard. Security rushed in, but not before a full-on scuffle broke out, hair pulling, nails scratching, champagne glasses shattering on the marble floor. It was chaos, pure and ugly, the kind you never expect from two women who've built empires on camera but clearly still carry deep wounds off it. Mendeecees, who had been in another part of the lounge talking business, heard the commotion and bolted over. He tried to pull Yandy away, shouting, "Baby, stop, this ain't you," but Yandy was in full defense mode, screaming about how Tamar had been spreading lies behind her back, how this revelation was just another ploy to steal the spotlight from their family. Tamar, bruised and shaken, collapsed into a chair as her team surrounded her, one sister already on the phone with lawyers. The room divided instantly, some people siding with Tamar, calling Yandy out for attacking someone during such a vulnerable moment, others defending Yandy, saying she was provoked and that Tamar had no right to drop something so heavy without warning. Outside, paparazzi had already caught wind that something major was going down. Flashes lit up the driveway as people started leaving in a hurry. Social media caught fire within minutes. Hashtag Tamar HIV trended worldwide before anyone even confirmed it, mixed with hashtag Protect Tamar and hashtag Yandy wrong hashtags battling for dominance. Fans were heartbroken, angry, confused. One viral tweet read, "If this is true, Yandy should be ashamed, health isn't a weapon." Another countered, "Tamar's been shady for years, maybe she pushed Yandy too far." The Braxton family group chat was blowing up, Tony, Tracy, Tawanda all texting in panic, demanding details while trying to keep their mother from finding out through the internet. Back inside, Mendeecees stayed by Yandy's side, trying to calm her down as security escorted Tamar and her entourage out a side exit to avoid the cameras. But the damage was done. Yandy, still fuming, reportedly told Mendeecees, "She's trying to ruin us, mark my words, this isn't over." He nodded, but his face looked worried. He knew his own past legal troubles made any kind of spotlight dangerous. Little did they know, the night was far from finished. As Tamar's car sped away, sirens could be heard in the distance. At first everyone thought it was just Atlanta traffic, but then two unmarked police cars pulled up right outside the venue. Officers stepped out, badges flashing, heading straight for the entrance. Mendeecees was still in the lounge, consoling Yandy, when they burst in. "Mendeecees Harris?" one officer called out. The room went dead silent. He turned slowly, already knowing in his gut what was coming. "You're under arrest," the officer continued, reading off charges that included violation of probation terms tied to an old case, plus new allegations of involvement in a financial scheme that had been under investigation for months. Yandy screamed, "This is a setup. You can't do this." But the cuffs clicked anyway. Mendeecees didn't resist, he just looked at Yandy with a mix of regret and fear, mouthing, "I'll be okay." As they led him out, cameras captured every second, the man who had fought so hard to rebuild his life now being walked through a crowd of stunned onlookers and flashing phones. Yandy followed behind, tears mixing with mascara, yelling at the officers that they had the wrong person, that this was retaliation for the fight upstairs. Fans watching the live streams lost their minds. "They arrested Mendeecees right after the fight? This can't be coincidence," one comment read. Theories exploded. Some said Tamar's team tipped off authorities as payback, others claimed Yandy's enemies used the chaos as cover to strike. The Braxtons released a brief statement through their PR team, "Our family is praying for Tamar and asking for privacy during this difficult time." But no one was buying the calm facade, the war had just begun. Inside the police car, Mendeecees sat quietly, staring out the window as Atlanta's lights blurred past. He knew this arrest could mean years behind bars if the charges stuck, especially with his record. Back at the mansion, Yandy paced the floor, phone in hand, calling every contact she had, demanding answers. Who set him up? She kept repeating. Meanwhile, Tamar was at a private doctor's office getting checked after the altercation, her sisters by her side, all of them crying and hugging as the reality sank in. The HIV diagnosis was no longer a secret, it was ammunition, and everyone wanted a piece. This wasn't just a fight between two stars anymore. It was a collision of health struggles, old beefs, family loyalty, and the relentless pressure of living life on camera. And as the sun rose over Atlanta the next morning, the headlines were already screaming what we all feared: the Harris and Braxton empires were crumbling, and no one knew who would be left standing when the dust finally settled. But trust me, the twists were only getting started, because what happened next would make this night look like child's play. The morning after the chaos hit like a freight train. Headlines screamed across every blog, gossip site, and morning news segment. Tamar Braxton HIV positive bombshell. Yandy Smith attacks her in front of celebs. Mendeecees Harris arrested hours later. TMZ had already posted grainy cell phone footage of the scuffle leaking from someone inside the party, the audio muffled but clear enough to catch Yandy's furious, "You think you can just ruin everything?" And Tamar's heartbroken, "I thought you were my sister." The clip looped endlessly on Shade Room, Ball Alert, and every Love and Hip Hop and Braxton family fan page. Views climbed into the millions before breakfast. Tamar woke up in her Atlanta condo surrounded by her sisters, Toni Braxton sitting at the edge of the bed holding her hand, Tawanda pacing the room on speakerphone with their lawyer, Tracy brewing tea nobody was drinking. The physical fight had left Tamar with a split lip, bruises on her arms where Yandy's nails dug in, and a headache that felt like someone was hammering inside her skull. But the real pain was deeper. "I finally told someone outside my circle," she whispered to Toni, voice cracking. And look what happened. Toni, ever the protective big sister, squeezed her hand tighter. "You did nothing wrong, baby." She reacted like that because she's scared of her own mess coming to light. They all knew the rumors about Yandy and Mendeecees' financial dealings weren't just rumors anymore. Across town in their sprawling Marietta home, Yandy hadn't slept. She sat on the living room couch in yesterday's outfit, phone glued to her ear as she barked orders at her PR team. Get every outlet to issue a correction, say the fight was mutual, say Tamar provoked it, say Mendeecees' arrest has nothing to do with last night. Her voice trembled between commands. Her children were upstairs with the nanny, but she could hear little Omarion asking why daddy wasn't home yet. Each question felt like a knife. Mendeecees was still being held at Fulton County Jail, no bail hearing until Monday, and the charges were stacking up faster than anyone expected. Violation of probation from his old drug case, plus new counts of wire fraud and money laundering tied to a real estate investment group he'd been quietly part of. Yandy knew the timing was too perfect. Someone had fed the feds intel right when the party exploded. By noon the fan reactions had split the internet in two warring camps. The hashtag Justice for Tamar side posted side-by-side photos of Tamar looking vulnerable in old interviews versus Yandy looking fierce on Love and Hip Hop, captioning them, "She attacked a woman living with HIV, cancel her." The hashtag Stand with the Yandy crowd fired back with clips of Tamar's past messy moments, her public breakdowns, her feuds with other celebs, saying, "She drops life-altering news in the middle of a party then plays victim when someone snaps." Classic Tamar manipulation. Twitter spaces popped up every hour, hosts screaming over each other, callers crying, cursing, praying. One viral thread from a supposed industry insider claimed Tamar had been planning to reveal her status on her next reality special and used the party to test reactions, pure sabotage against Yandy's brand. Inside the Braxton camp, strategy sessions ran non-stop. Tamar's manager pushed for an immediate sit-down interview, control the narrative before it controls you, but Toni vetoed it. She needs time to heal, physically and mentally. Tawanda, always the fiery one, wanted blood. Yandy put hands on my sister while she was disclosing something that could end her career. We sue. We press charges. We make sure the world sees her for who she is. Tamar, still in pajamas, shook her head slowly. I don't want to drag this out forever. I just want people to understand HIV isn't a death sentence anymore. I'm on meds, I'm undetectable, I'm living. But now everyone's focused on the fight instead of the truth. Her words hung heavy. For the first time in years the Braxton sisters felt united, not in drama, but in protecting one of their own from being reduced to a headline. Meanwhile, Yandy's inner circle rallied hard. Her best friend and business partner Kimbella Vanderhee flew in from New York, hugging her tight the second she walked through the door. This is bigger than one night, Kimbella said. Someone wants Yandy and Mendeecees taken down. We figure out who, then we hit back twice as hard. They spent hours combing through Mendeecees' recent emails, phone logs, anything that could point to who tipped off the authorities. One name kept surfacing, an old associate from his pre-prison days who'd been quietly resentful ever since Mendeecees cut ties to go legit. But proof was thin. Yandy stared at her laptop screen, eyes red. If this is retaliation for something he did 15 years ago, why now? Why last night? Sunday brought the first public statement from Tamar. Posted to Instagram in simple black text over a soft focus photo of her holding a single rose. To my family, my fans, my warriors, yes, I am living with HIV. I was diagnosed over a year ago. I take my medication every day. My viral load is undetectable. I am healthy, I am strong, and I am not ashamed. What happened at the party was painful and unnecessary. I never intended to weaponize my status. I was trying to be honest with someone I thought I could trust. I pray for healing, for everyone involved. Love always, T. The post racked up over 2 million likes in hours. Comments flooded with heart emojis, prayers, and stories from fans sharing their own diagnoses. For a brief moment the narrative shifted from fight footage to compassion. Celebrities chimed in. Monica posted, "Sending you love sis purple heart." Keke Palmer wrote, "You are brave beyond words." Even Nicki Minaj dropped a simple, "Strength." But Yandy wasn't letting the moment pass quietly. Her team dropped a counter-statement by evening. Yandy Smith-Harris deeply regrets the altercation and takes full responsibility for her emotional reaction. However, the circumstances were highly provocative and traumatic. Mrs. Harris was blindsided by an unexpected and deeply personal disclosure delivered in a public setting without prior consent or sensitivity. She has reached out privately to offer a sincere apology and hopes Tamar receives the support she needs. Regarding Mr. Harris's arrest, it is unrelated to the events of Saturday night and we are confident the truth will prevail in court. The wording was careful, apology without full admission, deflection without outright blame. Fans read between the lines and the war reignited. Monday morning Mendeecees appeared for his bail hearing via video link from the jail. The courtroom feed leaked almost immediately. He looked exhausted, orange jumpsuit hanging loose, but he spoke clearly when the judge asked if he understood the charges. "Yes, Your Honor." Yandy sat in the front row, dressed in all black, sunglasses hiding swollen eyes, holding a photo of their kids. When the judge set bail at $250,000, lower than prosecutors wanted but still steep, she exhaled audibly. Friends posted her bond within the hour. By afternoon Mendeecees was released, stepping out into a swarm of cameras and microphones. He said nothing, just held Yandy's hand as they pushed through to a waiting SUV. That same afternoon Tamar did something no one expected. She went live on Instagram from her living room, no makeup, hair in a bonnet, voice soft but steady. "I'm not here to drag anyone," she began. "I'm here to say I'm sorry too. I should have chosen a better time and place. I hurt someone I cared about, and that hurts me. But please, stop attacking each other in my name. This isn't about teams. This is about real people with real pain." She paused, tears falling. "And to anyone watching who's scared to get tested or tell someone, don't be. Knowledge is power. Love is stronger than fear." The live peaked at over 800,000 viewers. Even some of Yandy's supporters softened in the comments. "She's taking the high road," one wrote. "Respect." But peace was short-lived. Late that night an anonymous account dropped what they called the receipts, screenshots of old text messages allegedly between Tamar and a mutual friend, discussing how Yandy had stole a brand deal from Tamar years earlier. The messages were damning if real. Tamar venting, "She acts like she's above everybody but she's just as grimy." Another read, "I'm waiting for the right moment to expose her." The internet exploded again. Was Tamar planning revenge all along? Was the HIV disclosure a calculated move? Yandy's team immediately called the messages fabricated, but the damage spread fast. Inside the Harris household, Mendeecees sat with Yandy on their patio, kids asleep upstairs. "We can't keep fighting her," he said quietly. "This is tearing us apart more than anyone else." Yandy stared into the darkness. "She started this." Mendeecees shook his head. "No, someone else did, and we're playing right into it." For the first time since the arrest, Yandy let herself cry, not angry tears, but scared ones. What if we lose everything? Tamar, meanwhile, had a quiet dinner with her sisters. They laughed for the first time in days, reminiscing about old tours and silly fights. But when Tony asked if she was really okay, Tamar looked down at her plate. "I'm surviving. But I don't know if the friendships will." She paused. "And I don't know if I want them to." As the week dragged on, new developments kept the story alive. A producer from Zeus Network reached out to both camps about a potential face-to-face sit-down special, no fighting, just talking. Both sides said no, at first. Lawyers exchanged letters. PR teams spun competing angles. Fans begged for resolution while secretly hoping for more chaos. The one thing everyone agreed on, nothing would ever be the same. And just when it seemed the storm might finally break, a new video surfaced. Grainy security footage from inside the mansion lounge, timestamped minutes before the fight. It showed Tamar approaching Yandy calmly, then Yandy's face changing, shock, then fury. But right before the shove, Tamar's lips moved clearly. "You owe me this. After everything you took." The clip ended there. No context, no sound, but the implication was clear to millions. This wasn't random. This was payback. The war wasn't over. It was just entering its next, ugliest chapter. The fallout from that leaked security clip hit harder than anyone predicted. Within hours, the anonymous drop had been reposted thousands of times, dissected frame by frame on every gossip YouTube channel and TikTok stitch. People zoomed in on Tamar's mouth, forming those damning words, "You owe me this. After everything you took," and suddenly the narrative flipped again. What started as Yandy being the aggressor now looked like Tamar walking up with premeditated beef, using her diagnosis as emotional blackmail in a years-old grudge. Comment sections turned vicious. Tamar played victim masterclass, one viral TikTok captioned over slow-mo of the moment. She set Yandy up to snap so she could look innocent. Others weren't buying it. "We don't even have context. Lips can be misread." Yandy still put hands on her first. Tamar's PR team scrambled into damage control mode. By Tuesday afternoon, they released a short video statement, Tamar sitting in soft lighting, voice calm but firm. The clip being shared is edited and lacks full audio or context. "I approached Yandy that night to have a real conversation about past business hurts, yes. But my intention was never to provoke violence or use my health as a weapon. I disclosed my status because I was tired of hiding, not because I wanted to hurt anyone." The words caught on camera were part of a longer sentence about forgiveness and moving forward. "I regret how it came across." She ended with a plea, "Please stop the hate cycles. We're all human." The video gained traction fast, sympathy poured in from fans who remembered her vulnerability during her WeTV days. But the damage lingered. Trust was eroding on both sides. Yandy, fresh out of hiding after Mendeecees' release, went scorched earth in her own way. She scheduled a last-minute Instagram live from her home office, kids at school, Mendeecees off camera but nearby. She looked directly into the lens, no filter, no makeup, raw. "Let me be very clear," she started, voice steady but edged with exhaustion. "I am not proud of putting my hands on anyone. That night I lost control, and I own that. But Tamar knew exactly what she was doing when she came to me in a room full of people and dropped something so personal without a private heads up. Then she threw in old accusations about business deals from a decade ago. That wasn't disclosure. That was an attack disguised as vulnerability." She paused, eyes glistening. "And now my husband is fighting for his freedom again because someone, I don't know who yet, decided the perfect time to resurrect old cases was right after that chaos. Coincidence? I think not." The live chat exploded. Supporters flooded with, "Speak your truth, queen," and, "They're trying to take Yandy down because she's winning." But opponents hit back hard, "You attacked her first. Own it." Yandy read a few aloud, responding point by point. When someone asked about the "you owe me" lip read, she laughed bitterly. "If you watch the full unedited footage, and trust me, it exists, you'll see she was talking about a songwriting credit she felt entitled to from a feature we did together years ago. It was petty, not life or death. But she made it sound like I ruined her life." She leaned closer. "I didn't take anything from Tamar. If anything, I've lifted up every woman I've worked with. But some people can't handle when you outgrow the drama." Mendeecees appeared briefly at the end, sitting beside her. He looked thinner, eyes tired from sleepless nights and holding. "I'm not here to point fingers," he said quietly. "But my kids are asking why Daddy was gone. My wife is hurting. Whatever beef existed, it shouldn't have cost my family like this." His voice broke on the last word. Yandy reached for his hand. The vulnerability caught even critics off guard. For a moment the live felt less like a battlefield and more like two people pleading for understanding. When it ended, the view count topped 1.2 million. Clips circulated for days. Behind closed doors though, the legal machines were revving up. Tamar's attorney sent a cease and desist to the anonymous account that dropped the clip, demanding they reveal their source or face defamation action. Yandy's team filed paperwork to subpoena the mansion's full security system, every camera angle, every audio track. Both sides lawyered up heavy. Whispers started in industry circles that a major network was quietly shopping a reunion special, Braxton's vs. Harris, the showdown. Producers dangled seven-figure deals if both camps agreed to mediated sit-downs, polygraphs, the works. Tamar reportedly laughed it off, "I'm not turning my diagnosis into circus entertainment." Yandy's response was colder, "If they want truth, pay for the real footage first." Midweek brought the first big twist no one saw coming. A former Love and Hip Hop producer, who'd worked on seasons when Yandy and Tamar crossed paths, went public on a podcast. He claimed the bad blood traced back to 2018, when Tamar was pitched as a guest star on Yandy's spin-off but got cold feet last minute. According to him, Tamar felt Yandy blackballed her by bad-mouthing her work ethic to execs. Yandy's camp called it lies. The producer had been fired years ago and had an axe to grind. But then another voice chimed in. Tamar's old backup singer turned influencer posted a cryptic IG story. A photo of an old contract with both names on it, redacted dollar amounts, captioned, "Some debts never get paid." Fans connected dots fast. Was the "you owe me" about money? Credits? A broken promise? Tamar addressed it indirectly during a Zoom therapy session she shared snippets of on her Patreon. "Past hurts don't disappear just because time passes," she said softly. "I've forgiven a lot, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting boundaries." Her vulnerability kept winning hearts, especially among the HIV-positive community. Support groups online started featuring her story in newsletters, praising her for destigmatizing treatment. Celebrities kept showing up. SZA DM'd her privately, sharing her own health scares. Lizzo posted a throwback photo of them together with "Real queens lift each other up." Yandy countered by doubling down on her empire. She announced a surprise clothing drop tied to her Boss Moves Only brand, with proceeds going to HIV/AIDS research nonprofits. The move was brilliant PR, critics couldn't attack charity. Sales crashed the website in the first hour. Mendeecees, meanwhile, met with his legal team daily. The fraud charges were shaky, mostly circumstantial wire transfers from years back, but the probation violation was solid. One missed check-in while the investigation heated up was enough to lock him up again if they pushed. He started wearing an ankle monitor pending trial, a constant reminder that freedom was fragile. Thursday night the story took its darkest turn yet. An anonymous tip to TMZ included audio, allegedly from Tamar's phone, of her talking to a friend days before the party. "I'm tired of Yandy acting like she's untouchable. Maybe it's time she feels what it's like when your whole world flips." The clip was short, no context, but damning enough. Within minutes #Tamar setup trended. People accused her of orchestrating the entire night, disclose the diagnosis publicly to bait Yandy into reacting, then tip authorities about Mendeecees' payback. Tamar's team called it doctored eye garbage. Deepfake audio is everywhere now. But doubt had been planted. Yandy seized the moment. She posted a single photo on Instagram, her and Mendeecees with their kids, captioned, "Family over everything. We don't fold." No words about Tamar, just the image. It spoke louder than any rant. Likes poured in from unlikely places, even some Braxton fans quietly double-tapped, torn between loyalty and exhaustion. Tamar spent that night alone for the first time since the incident. She sat on her balcony overlooking the city, phone off, thinking about how one conversation had spiraled into this monster. She thought about her viral load numbers, still undetectable, about the meds she took every morning like clockwork. She thought about how she'd fought to stay alive, only for the world to reduce her to a villain in someone else's story. Tears came, but so did clarity. She picked up her phone, opened notes, and started typing what would become her next move, a full-length YouTube video, no PR filter, just her truth. Friday dawned with both women preparing for what felt like the final act. Tamar booked a professional camera crew for Saturday. Yandy met with network execs about a potential docuseries on black women rebuilding after public falls. Mendeecees visited his parole officer, bracelet beeping softly with every step. Fans waited, breath held, for the next bomb. And then Saturday arrived. Tamar went live, no makeup, simple white tee, hair pulled back. The title, the whole story. No edits. She spoke for nearly 40 minutes. She detailed her diagnosis timeline, the fear, the acceptance. She addressed the fight. "I walked up angry about old wounds. I said things I shouldn't have in the heat. But I never expected violence." She played her side of the security audio, longer version. "Whereafter, you owe me this," she continued, "after everything you took, I still respected you enough to tell you first." She cried openly when she talked about Mendeecees' arrest. "If anyone used my moment to hurt him, that's not me. I would never weaponize someone's children like that." The stream ended with her holding up her pill bottle. "This is not a scarlet letter. It's proof I'm still here." She signed off with, "I'm done fighting. I choose peace." Yandy watched in real time from her couch, Mendeecees beside her. When it finished, she didn't speak for a long minute. Then she turned to him. "She's telling her truth. Maybe it's time we tell ours." That night Yandy posted a video response. Shorter, but powerful. "I watched Tamar's truth. Here's mine. I reacted in fear and anger. I was wrong for that. Mendeecees' situation is separate, old demons, not new ones. But we're fighting them together." She looked straight at the camera. "Tamar, if you're watching, I'm sorry for putting hands on you. That's not who I am. And I hope you heal." The comments section did something rare, it quieted. Hearts replaced arguments. Fans typed, "This is growth," and, "Finally." Not everyone believed it was genuine, but enough did that the temperature dropped. The saga wasn't over, court dates loomed, lawsuits still threatened, old grudges simmered. But for the first time since that Atlanta night, both women had chosen words over war. And the world watched, wondering if peace would last, or if the next twist was already loading. The peace that settled after those apology videos felt fragile, like glass balanced on the edge of a table, one wrong move and it would all shatter again. For a few days the headlines shifted slightly: Tamar and Yandy call truce, growth in the midst of chaos, HIV awareness wins as beef takes backseat. Fans posted side-by-side montages of the two women's statements, soundtracked to uplifting R&B, captioning them, "Black women healing publicly is everything." Support groups amplified Tamar's pill bottle moment, turning it into memes of empowerment, undetectable, unstoppable. Even some Love and Hip Hop alums weighed in quietly. Joe Budden podcast guests debated it civilly for once, admitting both sides had valid pain points. But underneath the surface calm, resentment still bubbled. Tamar kept her distance, no likes on Yandy's posts, no follows returned. Yandy did the same. Mendeecees, now adjusting to house arrest with the ankle monitor blinking every few hours, spent his days in lawyer meetings and family time. He told Yandy one evening while the kids played in the yard, "We can't pretend it didn't happen, but we also can't let it define the rest of our lives." She nodded, but her jaw stayed tight. Forgiveness was one thing, forgetting was another. Then came the Monday bombshell nobody expected. A federal indictment dropped publicly, Mendeecees named in a multi-defendant racketeering case tied to a nationwide real estate flipping scheme from 2015 to 2018. Prosecutors alleged he'd used shell companies to launder money from questionable investors, some with documented ties to his old street associates. The timing screamed conspiracy to Yandy. "They waited until the world was watching us bleed to drop this," she told her attorney over speakerphone, voice shaking with rage. The new charges carried mandatory minimums that could mean decades if convicted. Bail revoked pending hearing. Mendeecees would be taken back into custody that same afternoon. Yandy broke down in their kitchen, sliding to the floor as Omarion toddled over asking why mommy was crying. She held him close, whispering, "Daddy's coming home soon," even as doubt clawed at her chest. Social media reacted instantly. #FreeMendeecees trended alongside conspiracy threads claiming the FBI had used the party footage as pretext to reopen dormant files. Some fans pointed fingers at Tamar again. She said she didn't tip them off, but who else had motive? Others defended her fiercely. Stop blaming a woman for living with HIV and speaking her truth. Tamar saw the headlines while scrolling in bed. Her heart sank. She hadn't spoken to Yandy since the videos, but this felt different, bigger, uglier. She called Tony immediately. "They're saying it's connected to the fight. I swear I never contacted anyone." Tony believed her, but the internet didn't care about truth anymore. Death threats started sliding into Tamar's DMs, graphic, unhinged messages blaming her for tearing a family apart. She turned off comments, went private, but the damage spread. Her upcoming tour dates started getting quiet cancellations, sponsors pulled back citing controversy. By Wednesday both women were in survival mode. Yandy hired a high-profile criminal defense team out of D.C., the kind that handled celebrity cases with national security implications. They issued a blistering press release. "Mr. Harris is the victim of selective prosecution fueled by public spectacle. These charges recycle decade-old allegations previously deemed insufficient for indictment. We will prove his innocence and expose those who weaponized media attention against him." The subtext was clear: someone had fed the story to prosecutors at the worst possible moment. Tamar, meanwhile, decided silence wasn't working. She booked a major interview with The Breakfast Club, her first since the diagnosis reveal. Charlemagne, DJ Envy, and Jess Hilarious sat across from her in the iconic studio, air thick with anticipation. She walked in wearing all white, symbol of peace, she later explained, and sat with poise that surprised even her critics. First, she began after greetings, "I want to say publicly, I did not have anything to do with Mendeecees' legal troubles. I would never use my platform or my pain to hurt children or destroy a home. That's not who I am." Charlemagne leaned in. "But people are saying the timing," Tamar nodded. "I know what they're saying. And I get why they think it. But I was focused on my health, my music, my healing. Not revenge." She teared up when talking about the fight. "I went to Yandy that night carrying years of hurt, business deals that fell through, promises that weren't kept, feeling overlooked. I said things out of pain." She reacted out of shock. "We both lost control. But violence isn't the answer, and neither is blaming me for federal charges." The interview went viral. Clips of her saying, "I pray for Yandy and Mendeecees every night," circulated with crying emojis. Even skeptics softened. "She sounds genuine," one Breakfast Club caller admitted on the after show. Yandy watched the full episode alone in her home theater, arms crossed, expression unreadable. When it ended, she texted her best friend Kimbella. She didn't have to do that. But she did. Kimbella replied instantly, "Maybe it's real. Maybe it's time to let it go." Thursday brought the bail revocation hearing. Mendeecees appeared in court via video, orange jumpsuit again, beard growing and patchy from stress. The judge listened to arguments. Defense claimed no flight risk, family ties strong, charges circumstantial. Prosecution painted him as a repeat offender leveraging fame to skirt consequences. Bail denied. Remand ordered. Yandy sat in the gallery, face stoic, but her hands trembled in her lap. When the gavel fell, she stood abruptly and walked out before cameras could catch her tears. That night she did something unprecedented. She went live unannounced, no makeup, hair in a scarf, voice hoarse. "I'm not here to beg or perform," she said. "I'm here as a wife, as a mother, as a woman who's tired." Mendeecees made mistakes years ago. He served his time. He changed. But the system doesn't always see change, it sees records. And right now they're using every headline to justify keeping him away from us. She paused, swallowing hard. "Tamar, if you're watching, thank you for your words on the Breakfast Club. I heard them. I'm not ready to hug it out on camera, but I hear you. And I'm sorry again for that night. I was scared. Scared of losing control, scared of secrets coming out. But fear made me ugly. I'm working on that." The live ended quietly. No dramatic music, no call to action. Just her signing off with, "Pray for my family." Viewership hit record numbers for her page. Comments filled with prayers instead of arguments. For the first time, the two fanbases overlapped, #Pray for Yandy and #Pray for Tamar appearing in the same threads. Friday Tamar responded, not with a video, but a simple Instagram post. A black square with white text, "To Yandy, I accept your apology. I offer mine again. Healing isn't linear, but it's possible. Sending love to you, Mendeecees, and your beautiful babies. We don't have to be friends, but we don't have to be enemies either." She attached a photo of sunlight breaking through clouds, subtle, hopeful. The weekend felt different. Media fatigue set in. Outlets moved on to newer scandals. Fans started posting throwback clips of both women supporting each other in old interviews, reminding everyone that before the beef, there was mutual respect. Tamar resumed recording sessions, channeling the pain into lyrics about resilience. Yandy focused on her children, visiting Mendeecees every allowed day, bringing drawings from the kids taped to manila envelopes. Then came the quietest twist of all. A week later, an anonymous source leaked to a small blog that the tip leading to Mendeecees' indictment had come from an old business rival, not Tamar, not Yandy, but a former partner who'd lost millions when Mendeecees pulled out of a deal post-prison. The rival had allegedly waited years for the right moment, and the party fight provided perfect cover. Heightened scrutiny meant old files got dusted off. Yandy's investigators confirmed it independently. No Braxton involvement, no setup from Tamar's camp. Yandy called Tamar that night. Private number to private number. No cameras, no audience. The conversation lasted 23 minutes. They didn't rehash every hurt. They didn't cry or yell. They mostly listened. Yandy said, "I was wrong about a lot." Tamar replied, "So was I." They agreed to let lawyers handle the rest, no civil suits, no public dragging. Mendeecees' defense team would push the new info in court. Tamar would continue her advocacy work. Separate paths, but no more war. The call ended with a simple, "Take care." No promises of friendship. But something shifted, anger replaced by something quieter. Understanding, maybe. Or just exhaustion. Months passed. Mendeecees' case dragged through motions and delays. Some charges dropped when the rival's credibility crumbled under cross-examination. Others stuck, but plea negotiations began. Tamar released a single, "Still Here," with proceeds to HIV nonprofits. It charted modestly but meaningfully. Yandy launched a podcast about second chances, interviewing formerly incarcerated entrepreneurs. Both women avoided mentioning each other publicly. Fans noticed the silence and, slowly, moved on. The hashtags faded. New drama took center stage. But in quiet moments, Tamar would think of that night and feel the scar tissue, not gone, but no longer bleeding. Yandy would watch her kids sleep and remember the fear that fueled her worst moment, vowing never to let it win again. The Atlanta mansion party became legend, a cautionary tale of how secrets, old wounds, and one bad reaction could nearly destroy everything. But it also became proof that even in the glare of reality TV lights, people could choose to stop swinging. And sometimes, that was the biggest plot twist of all. The months following the private phone call stretched into something almost normal, if normal could ever exist in the glare of constant scrutiny. Mendeecees remained on house arrest, the ankle monitor a quiet daily reminder of how close freedom still felt to slipping away. Court dates came and went like bad weather, postponements, motions to suppress evidence, expert witnesses debating wire transfer patterns from a decade earlier. Yandy turned the waiting into action. She expanded her production company, signed 2 new artists, and started a mentorship program for young black women in entertainment. Every success felt like defiance. They can try to take him down, she told a close friend during a late-night strategy session, but they can't take what we're building. Tamar, on the other side of the city, leaned hard into her music. The single, Still Here, had opened doors she hadn't expected, radio play in markets that once ghosted her, features requested by artists half her age, even a quiet nod from Beyoncé's camp about possible collaboration down the line. She toured modestly at first, small venues where fans showed up wearing red ribbons and holding signs that read, "Undetectable equals unapologetic." After every show she stayed for meet and greets, hugging strangers who whispered their own diagnoses in her ear, thanking her for making the conversation easier. "You gave me courage to tell my mom," one young woman said through tears. Tamar held her longer than usual. Those moments healed more than any apology video ever could. Yet the shadow of that Atlanta night never fully lifted. Paparazzi still lingered outside both women's gates on slow news days, hoping for a chance encounter. Blogs kept "Where are they now?" lists updated with every minor move. Fans policed interactions obsessively. Did Tamar like Yandy's birthday post for Omarion? Did Yandy watch Tamar's performance clip? Small gestures became proof of lingering beef or genuine peace. Most went unnoticed by the principals, but the internet never slept. 6 months in, the first real test arrived. A major awards show, the BET Awards, announced its performers. Tamar was booked for a medley celebrating women in R&B, a tribute slot that felt earned after years of grinding. Yandy, meanwhile, had been tapped to present an award for Best Reality Series, a category love and hip-hop still dominated despite recent dips in ratings. Both names appeared on the same press release. Panic threads erupted online. "They're gonna be in the same building, security better be thick. This is either gonna be iconic or a disaster." Backstage buzz started weeks early. Producers whispered about keeping them on opposite ends of the arena. Tamar's team requested no shared green rooms. Yandy's did the same, but fate, or sloppy planning, had other ideas. The dressing rooms were assigned alphabetically by last name. Braxton and Harris ended up just 2 doors apart. When Tamar arrived early for sound check, Yandy was already there, walking the hallway with her stylist. Their eyes met for the first time since the phone call. Time stretched. Neither spoke at first. Then Yandy gave a small nod. Tamar returned it. That was all. No words. No drama. Just acknowledgement. Staff exhaled collectively. The show itself unfolded without incident. Tamar slayed her performance, voice soaring over a stripped-down arrangement of her biggest hits, ending with "Still Here," as red lights bathed the stage in solidarity. The crowd gave her a standing ovation that lasted through the commercial break. Yandy presented her award later, poised and professional, cracking a light joke about reality TV being the original social experiment. When the camera panned to Tamar in the audience, she clapped politely. Yandy glanced her way for half a second. Another nod, subtle, private, powerful. After parties became the next battlefield, or so everyone thought. Tamar skipped most, citing early flight. Yandy attended one, the official BET Afterglow, staying just long enough for photos and handshakes. No crossover. No confrontation. The next morning blogs ran headlines like, "Tamar and Yandy successfully avoid each other at BET Awards, mature or messy." Fans argued in comments for days. But the women themselves stayed silent. Sometimes silence says more than statements. A year after the party, Mendeecees' case finally reached a turning point. The prosecution's star witness, the old rival, crumbled on the stand. Text messages surfaced showing he'd actively shopped the story to multiple outlets before the indictment, bragging about, "Finally getting mine." The judge dismissed 2 major counts for lack of evidence. The remaining charges were reduced in a plea deal: time served on the probation violation, 3 years probation, community service, and restitution. Mendeecees walked out of court a free man, restricted but free. Yandy waited outside in a black SUV, kids in the back waving homemade signs. When he climbed in, the family hugged for a long minute before driving away from the flashing cameras. That night they celebrated quietly at home. No big party. Just takeout, music, and the kids running circles around a daddy who could finally chase them without an electronic tether. Yandy posted one photo to Instagram. Mendeecees holding both children, her arm around his waist, captioned simply, "Home." No explanation, no shade. The likes rolled in from unexpected places, including a single heart emoji from Tamar's verified account. Yandy saw it. She didn't respond publicly, but she screenshotted it and showed Mendeecees. He smiled. Small steps. Tamar marked the one-year anniversary of her public disclosure differently. She hosted a private event for HIV advocates, doctors, and long-term survivors. No cameras allowed except for a short clip she released later, her standing in a circle of people, each holding a candle. She spoke about stigma, about medication access, about love after diagnosis. "I used to think this would end me," she said on camera. "Now I know it's just another part of my story." The clip went viral in the best way, shared by Yandy, by WHO spokespeople, by everyday people. Views climbed into the tens of millions. For once, the conversation wasn't about a fight. It was about survival. As the second year approached, the two women's paths crossed again, this time professionally. A charity gala for women's health initiatives invited both as honorees. Tamar for her advocacy work. Yandy for her philanthropy through her foundation. Organizers braced for drama. Instead, they got cooperation. Both accepted on condition that their segments remained separate, no joint panels, no forced photos. But the night before the event, Yandy's assistant received an email from Tamar's team. A simple request. Could they coordinate arrival times to avoid hallway awkwardness? Yandy agreed. They arrived 30 minutes apart. No issues. During the gala, Tamar accepted her award first. She thanked her family, her fans, her medical team. Then, in a moment that hushed the room, she added, "To anyone who's ever hurt me or whom I've hurt, thank you for the lessons. Pain teaches, but grace heals. I choose grace tonight." Polite applause swelled into something warmer. Yandy, seated at a different table, listened without expression. When her turn came, she spoke about building legacies beyond headlines. "Life will test you," she said. "It will break you if you let it. But family, purpose, forgiveness, they rebuild you stronger." She didn't name names. She didn't have to. The room understood. After the speeches, as guests mingled, the inevitable happened. Tamar and Yandy found themselves near the dessert table at the same time. No escape. No cameras in that corner. They stood awkwardly for a beat. Then Tamar spoke first. "Congratulations on Mendeecees coming home." Yandy nodded. "Thank you. And congratulations on everything you're doing. It matters." Silence again. Not hostile. Just full. Finally Yandy said, "I don't know if we'll ever be cool like before." Tamar gave a small smile. "Maybe we don't have to be. But we can be civil. That's enough." Yandy extended her hand. Tamar shook it. Firm. Brief. Done. They walked away in different directions. No hugs. No selfies. But something closed that night, a chapter, not the book, but enough to let both breathe easier. Years blurred after that. Tamar released an album that critics called her most honest work yet, tracks about diagnosis, redemption, sisterhood. One song, Scar Tissue, became an underground anthem in support circles. Yandy's production credits stacked up. She executive produced a Netflix doc on Black entrepreneurship post-incarceration, with Mendeecees appearing briefly to talk about second chances. Their children grew. Omarion started middle school. Tamar became an auntie to new Braxton babies. Life moved. Occasionally fans would dig up old clips and ask, whatever happened to that beef? Newer generations would watch the grainy party footage and gasp. But the principals rarely engaged. Tamar would post a cryptic lyric snippet. Yandy would drop a throwback family photo. Subtle reminders that time had passed, wounds had scarred over, and survival looked different now. In the end, the Atlanta night became folklore, an explosive origin story for two women who refused to let one bad moment define them. They never became best friends. They never filmed a reunion special. But they did something rarer in reality TV world. They grew separately, healed privately, and let the past stay where it belonged. And somewhere, in the quiet spaces between headlines, that was the real victory. And there you have it, the wildest, most heart-wrenching, jaw-dropping saga to ever rock the reality TV world. From that explosive Atlanta night where secrets spilled, fists flew, and handcuffs clicked, all the way to quiet handshakes, private calls, and two powerful women choosing grace over grudge. What started as a betrayal-fueled brawl ended up teaching us all something raw. Pain can break you wide open, but healing is a choice you make every single day, even when the cameras stop rolling and the hashtags fade. But let's be real, this story isn't finished just because the headlines cooled off. Mendeecees still has probation check-ins, Tamar's advocacy work is only getting bigger, and who knows what new chapter these two queens will write next. Will they ever share a stage again? Will old wounds stay buried or resurface when the next big opportunity knocks? Will the fans ever fully let go of picking teams? Those questions hang in the air like smoke after a fire, and honestly, that's what keeps us coming back for more. So tell me, fam, what do you think really happened behind closed doors? Was the fight avoidable or inevitable? Did Tamar drop her truth at the worst possible moment, or was Yandy's reaction way out of line? Do you believe the piece is real, or is it just PR smoke until the next reunion special gets greenlit? Drop your hottest takes in the comments right now. Team Tamar, Team Yandy, Team both, Team neither, I want to hear it all. Smash that like button if this roller coaster had you glued to your screen from start to finish, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss when the next celebrity storm hits, because trust me, in this game the drama never really sleeps. Thank you for riding this insane journey with me. If you made it this far, you're officially part of the inner circle. Let's keep the conversation going below. What's your final verdict on the Tamar-Yandy saga? Type it out, tag a friend who needs to see this, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay messy, stay real, and stay tuned. Peace.